ערב טוב רבותיי, ברוכים הבאים בשם השם. I don't know if we can believe, but last week we finished the entire Chumash Bereshit with all the drama, with all the stories, with all the dramatic stories, especially of the last four parashiyot, Vayeshem, Meches, Vayigash, Vayehi. And now we're moving to, Be'ezrat Hashem, this week we're moving to Chumash SHEMOT, Sefer Galut ve'Geula. We're moving in a very sharp move into a complete different mode, different mood, different attitude, different understanding, different world. We're moving into a world of Shi'bud Mitzrayim and Yetziat Mitzrayim, on the slavery of Egypt, and after the freedom of living Egypt and receiving the Torah, Matan Torah Be'ar Sinai, becoming a nation. And this is a very, very incredible journey that Am Yisrael are going through. And there is a lot to learn about the entire purpose of the Galut, the entire meaning of the slavery in Egypt. There's a lot to learn. Chumash SHEMOT, as I said, with a different attitude that we had on the parashiyot of Chumash Bereshit. But today, as we are approaching Chumash SHEMOT, I want to discuss a very important distinction that I believe that the world we're living in, Rabotai, today is in a deep confusion. This distinction requires a new look and a new perspective, because when we don't have the clear understanding of it, we might get confused, and we might get a little bit lack of directions of what this distinction means. And this distinction that I would like to talk about through Parashat Shemot, called leadership. Leadership is Olam Manhigut. Leadership in a sense of our view and the way we see leaders, the way we follow leaders, the way we lead, and the way we wish to believe we are leading our own lives and the lives of the people around us. But before we speak about leadership, before we speak about the specific distinction of leadership, I would like to use and to share a quick and small yet powerful introduction of the general idea of how we approach distinctions. I remember years ago, I had a couple that came to me for a session in marriage counseling, in relationship work that I do for many, many years. Baruch Hashem, I have the zichut to dwell my life in the domain of being at support, of creating love and connection and unity among families. And Bechazdei Hashem, I had the zichut to put people together, back together, and keep families united, and Baruch Hashem, to continue life in a very healthy way. So this couple, when they came to me, the guy came to me, the husband, and he says to me, Rabbi, I want you to understand, I am tired of this relationship. I'm married for 10 years. I don't see myself continue. I can't. It's over. I'm done. There's nothing that I'm willing to even try to do. Why am I here? I don't know. I was told that you might be able to support me. I doubt it. I have a hard time to believe, but I want you to know that I am done. It's over. I cannot continue like this. I said, okay, what is it that you experience at home that makes you feel that you're done, that you're over? And life, your marriage, your relationship is over. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol niyeh b'doro. He said to me, I can compromise a lot of things in my life. One thing I cannot compromise, respect. I cannot live, and he gave me like a 10 minutes lecture of, I cannot live my life without respect. I'm living life with her, and he's pointing to his wife, and he said, she does not respect me. I cannot live my life without being respected. I'm working so hard. I'm providing to the family, and this wife for 10 years does not respect me. I cannot live life like this. And his wife is looking at him and she said, you're lying. I do respect you. He said, no, you're not respecting me. You do not respect me. And she said, you're lying. I do respect you. No, you do not respect me. Yes, I do respect you. And they're going back and forth on this issue. You do respect, you don't respect. Usually, when you see this kind of case, you might feel wrongly, that when there is an argument and a conflict between two people, when one of them said something and the other one denying it, when somebody said, you don't respect me, and the other person said, I do respect you, apparently in some people's perception, one of them is saying the truth, and one of them is lying, or is not super accurate. One of them is saying the truth, and one of them is not. So when he says, you don't respect me, and she says, I do respect you, one of them is not precisely sharing the truth. But anybody who is in this field, or anybody with common sense, will tell you that when you look at this situation, there is one thing you want to verify before you move on. I looked at him and I said, sir, I have a question for you. You said she does not respect you. Granted, this is how you feel and I understand that. But let me ask you a question. Could you please tell me what respect means to you? What respect means to you means if I choose right now to respect you, what do I need to do? What can I do or demonstrate or do for you that you would feel respected? What does respect means to you? In that particular case, you looked at me and you said, you don't need me to tell you what respect. You know what respect is. Would you be able to live life with somebody who doesn't respect you? I said, forget about me. I'm not part of this game. Tell me what respect means to you. So he said to me, respect is a very, very simple concept. It's a clear distinction. I said, what is that? He said, respect to me means that she needs to do everything I say at the house for the first time that I say it. Everything I say, she should do. And that's how I can feel being respected. You're laughing. Of course you're laughing. I looked at him and I said, sir, I want you to know that you might have a collapsing distinction in your dictionary. I would like to invite you to open a dictionary and see the difference and the definition between the differentiation and the definition between dictatorship and respect. And she said to me, you see, I do respect him, but it's not respect that he wants. He wants to be a dictator. He wants to determine everything that's going on in the house, and everything he said without any argument, I should follow. He say, I follow. And he thinks this is respect. So basically, we went through back and forth of what respect is, but the general idea is, we need to understand that people do experience life based on the understanding and the meaning that they give to the distinctions that they use. Should I repeat that? People experiencing life based on the meaning and the interpretations that they give to the distinctions they're living by. Meaning to say, if respect to him means, in his case, dictatorship, if he doesn't get that treatment, that relationship from his wife, the way he thinks what respect is, then she doesn't respect him, according to his definition. And according to his definition, he's very, very frustrated and very unhappy because he's experiencing lack of respect. Not objectively lack of respect, but lack of respect in his mind, in his perception. We can go on and on about anything you can imagine. What is love? He loves me, he doesn't love me. When you see two people arguing, you do love, you don't love, you do love, you don't love, stop for a second, take a deep breath and ask, what is love? Quite often you can hear two people arguing you do or you don't love, whereas each and every single one of them is carrying a different explanation and definition to the distinction, to the concept of love. And we can go on and on and on every single definition. So based on the way we interpret and we understand distinctions, this is how we experience them. So it's a great idea whenever we are in a relationship and we have any kind of conflict, if we are doing something or not, it is a great idea to go deep into a conversation of definitions, of learn how to define the distinction that we are living with or by. So in the world of leadership, one of those distinctions which are extremely important, it's called leadership. And quite often we have many different definitions and understanding of leadership. We're living in the world that we call some people leaders. We call them leaders because they have power. I don't know if you ever met some people, but it's funny / extremely sad that the world we live in would give power of leadership to people that has a lot of money. We're giving power of leadership, we at least call them leaders, because they happen to carry a very successful business. So if you have a lot of money and you are a wealthy human being, your words of leadership has a specific value. Has a very unique and special value because you happen to be rich. And if you're not rich, you can never lead. Leaders are people that have the power of money. And not only that, there are many people who believe that leaders are people that were elected by a democratic election. There are many people who believe that those who spend $50 or $100 million on a political campaign and they become presidents or senators or you name it, they become leaders because they were elected. And whatever their campaign was and whatever the marketing of the campaign was, they became leaders. And we call those people leaders because they have power to affect or put an impact on our lives. And I think it's very, very appropriate, if I may say, if I may suggest, that it's very appropriate to put the right glasses on our eyes and look in the Torah to see what does the Torah call a leader? How is a leader being born and run his own life and lead? What are the qualifications of a leader? How do we measure the quality of a leader? What is a leader? Because maybe we have a chance to really put some clarity on what leadership is all about, and eventually be able to either follow real leaders that can show us the way of a successful life, and maybe to allow us to learn and adopt the skill of leadership and become leaders and become people who can impact people around us and to lead our and others' lives in a very, very bright and successful way. So what is it? How does the Torah call a leader? What does the Torah call a leader? How is a leader being born and created? Now, I know, we all know that if you ever look on the resume of a leader, you might wish to find some qualifications and skills of a leader that we are not looking for today. And definitely not in the way that the Torah is speaking about. We know that Am Yisrael went to Egypt. Am Yisrael ירדו למצרים ל-210, 210 years of slavery. Very, very tough slavery, very difficult time. And Am Yisrael are going through a tremendous, tremendous hardship. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu prepared for them the leader. The leader that HaKadosh Baruch Hu prepared for Am Yisrael was not just a leader to stop the bleeding of this slavery, not just the leader to take them out of the misery of working and like slaves in Egypt, in Mitzrayim, but also to lead them not only from where, but also to where. And taking them out of Mitzrayim and taking them to Eretz Israel through Ma'amad Har Sinai, Kabbalat Torah, receiving the Torah. That will be the complete mission of a leader. Taking them out of the trouble and get them into a safe land and becoming a nation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, becoming Am Yisrael. Hayom hazeh nihiyet le'am. And as you know, there is a very, very famous midrash that tells us, SHEMOT Rabbah. Let me read this to you. The midrash said, Amru Rabbotenu. Now we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu becoming the leader of Am Yisrael, and let's pay attention to the first qualification that HaKadosh Baruch Hu found in Moshe Rabbeinu. Amru Rabbotenu. I know this is a story, we heard that from under kindergarten age. We heard the story, we learned that, we taught us to our children for many years. Yet, I think there is a very, very important point to review it again. I'm reading the words. Amru Rabbotenu. כשהיה משה רבנו עליו השלום, רועה צאנו של יתרו במדבר. Our Hachamim said when Moshe Rabbeinu was עליו השלום, was serving as a shepherd with the animals of Yitro, his father-in-law, ברח ממנו גדי, one of the goats, a little goat, sweet one, very soft and delicate one, ran away from him. A goat ran away. I don't know what we would have done when the goat ran us away, but he did. רץ אחריו. רץ אחריו משה רבנו. I don't know if we can imagine that. I mean, sometimes I have to admit, sometimes when we learn the Torah, it's so difficult to imagine. משה רבנו הקדוש והטהור, משה רבנו מלאך השם צבקות, משה רבנו קודש קודשים, משה רבנו is chasing a goat. But he did. And he runs after him, he's chasing him, and the deer runs, and Moshe Rabbeinu is running after him. נזדמנה לו בריכה של מים, until this goat rested after he found a little pool of water. Little well, if you wish, באר. ועמד הגדי לשתות, poor goat. Poor גדי, he was thirsty. He was thirsty, and he wanted to drink. כיוון שהגיע משה אצלו, משה רבנו chased him and ran after him and could barely breathe, and he arrived with him. Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking, is alone. Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to the goat. אמר, אני לא הייתי יודע שרץ היית מפני צמא. I didn't know that you were running. I was chasing you because I wanted to bring you back with everybody else. But I didn't know that you were running away, not because you were anything but thirsty. I know you were. Now I know why you were running. Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to a goat. Ayef ata. I don't know if we can imagine that. You're probably very tired. You're tired, said Moshe Rabbeinu to the goat. הרכיבו על כתפו והיה מהלך. משה רבנו is carrying the goat on his shoulder, and he walks back with the rest of the animals. אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, when he saw that, this is not a campaign of leadership. This is not a political campaign. This is not an election. This is not a money power. This is not an ego trip game. אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, יש לך רחמים לנהוג צונו של בשר ודם, כך חייך אתה תרעה צוני ישראל. הווה ומשה היה רועה את צאן יתרו חותנו. רבותיי, this is quite profound point. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that you have a heart, you have a heart to care for an animal. To care for an animal that you could say, if you run away, go run away. You either come back on your own or we can continue life without you. When Moshe Rabbeinu sees the goat thirsty and drinking water, Moshe Rabbeinu's heart is full of care and kindness and love. And Moshe Rabbeinu cares so much to say, you are probably very tired. And because you're tired, I'm going to carry you back on my shoulders all the way back with everybody else. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that Moshe Rabbeinu has such a compassionate heart for animals, he said to Moshe Rabbeinu, if you have such a compassionate heart, you are the one that I want to care for my nation. This is the qualification number one. The level of caring heart. The level of compassionate heart that you have for animals. Can you believe that, for animals? And then, when Moshe Rabbeinu comes before that event, the Torah said, "Vayhi bayamim ahem," when Moshe Rabbeinu grew up in the house of Paro, and one day he goes out, Vayigdal Moshe Rabbeinu grew up, ויצא אל אחיו וירא בסבלותם. Moshe Rabbeinu goes out to the field and he is witnessing his brothers on their slavery. And he sees that they're working very, very hard in the slavery of Egypt. וירא בסבלותם, and he saw them suffering. He saw them suffering. Our Hachamim and Rashi HaKadosh on the place from the Midrash were not satisfied with the words Vayar besivlotam, literally speaking, that he saw that they are suffering. This is not a question of the ability to see. Vayar besivlotam, and Moshe Rabbeinu saw their pain. Rashi said, Natan, holy of all holiness words. Rabbotai, if we only take those words and inhale them and digest them and make them part of our life, daily life behavior. Natan einav velibo liot metzer aleim. I know I'm speaking simple words, Rabbotai, but those simple words has power to change the world around us. Natan vayar besivlotam, said Rashi from the Midrash SHEMOT Rabbah, Natan einav velibo liot metzer alehem. He cared. Their pain was his pain. Their suffering was his suffering. Moshe Rabbeinu was with them. Imo anochi betzara. He was participating in their pain. He did not see their pain. He did not notice their pain. He did not just heard about their pain. He suffered their pain. Like the famous story, I don't know, they said about the Hafetz Chaim or Rabbi Aryeh Levin, one of the greatest Hachamim in Eretz Israel. Their famous line was that he took his wife to a doctor and he told the doctor, Doctor, the leg of my wife hurts us. Her pain was his pain. Moshe Rabbeinu natan einav velibo. He cared so much about their pain that he felt that pain. And when he went out, the Torah said, Vayar ish mitzri makeish ivri me'ahav, and he sees an Egyptian person hates a Jew. Vayifen kovacho. Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't take that injustice, that suffering, and he is growing up as the prince of Egypt. And he sees that injustice, that the Egyptian hates the Jew. He gets involved. He's risking his own life. This is not just caring in theory or in your heart, but it actually takes action to get involved and risking his own life for another person. And then Vayetze bayom hasheni, and the second day sees Ivrim Nitzi, and he does the same thing, and he is criticizing him. Vayomer larasha lamma takeh re'echa. Moreover, Rabbotai, just at pausing for a second, how many times in life we see people that having such a hard life, and we truly care. And care, I don't mean that we go to them and say, don't worry, God will help. Hashem Yazor. It's not what I'm talking about. This is being religious in the wrong place. I'm talking about people that we see that having a hard time or somebody suffering from anything, and we are actually brave enough and real enough and honest enough and compassionate enough to go and say, what can I do for you? With being prepared to listen to the answer, what you can do, and truly do it, and actually do it, not just listening to it. Moshe Rabbeinu cared and felt their pain, and he felt their pain, and when there is a need to get involved in risking your own life, I'm not talking about spending $50 for someone. I'm talking about risking his own life. Moshe Rabbeinu was prepared and actually acted on it, to care and to pay attention that injustice has to stop. And then we know that Moshe Rabbeinu had to run away because of the reaction of the person he rebuked. And he goes to Midian and he sees Benot Yitro, and again, the same idea. And he sees the injustice from the Ro'im towards the daughters of Yitro. And Moshe Rabbeinu is going and he gets involved in Bono Shel Olam. This is none of your business. This is none of your business. Why are you getting involved in injustice? I know it's very hard for us to understand that, but there is such a thing in life called care. I don't want to talk about many hidushim today. I just want us to inhale the word care. Really care. Really experiencing the pain of someone else. This was Moshe Rabbeinu. And Morai ve'Rabotai, surprisingly enough, after Moshe Rabbeinu is coming back, as the Torah said in the whole story with a bush, with the whole story with the Seneh, that Moshe Rabbeinu is seeing the wonder picture. Vayomer Moshe, when Moshe Rabbeinu sees, Vayar ve'ineh as-seneh bo'er ba'esh, it is the bush burning. But even though it was burning, the seneh nenu ukal, and the seneh, the bush, was not consumed. It was burning and yet not consumed. Moshe Rabbeinu is seeing this wonder picture, and he said to himself, Vayomer Moshe asur ana ve'eret hamareh hagadol hazeh, madua lo yiv'ar haseneh. He goes and he sees the seneh, the bush is burning, and he says to himself, hey, I need to understand that. I need to understand why this is happening. And when he goes there, Kadosh Baruch Hu is speaking to him, and Kadosh Baruch Hu is breaking the news to him. Morai ve'Rabotai, it's a very famous story. The breaking news that Moshe Rabbeinu could not wait to hear. Moshe Rabbeinu is getting the breaking news from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I know, my dear, that you care about my nation. You cared about Am Yisrael suffering the Egyptian slavery. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling him, Moshe Rabbeinu, I have a news for you. And this news has two pieces. The point number one of my message, Ra'iti et Oni Ami Asher B'Mitzrayim, I want you to know that I am very well aware. It is part of my blueprint, and I'm well aware of the pain Am Yisrael are going through. And the first part of the news is, this pain is going to finish. This pain is going to its end. Vayered le'atzilo miyad Mitzrayim. I'm going to take my nation out of Egypt. ועתה הנה צעקת בני ישראל. בא אליי, ראיתי את הלחץ. Don't you worry, you're not alone. I want you to know I am well aware of the situation there. And not only that I'm aware of it, I am going to do something about it. And to do something about it means I'm going to take them out of Egypt. Wow. At this point, Moshe Rabbeinu, even on the first part of the news, Moshe Rabbeinu should start a very, very Leibedik Breslev dance. Moshe Rabbeinu should start, I love their dancing. Moshe Rabbeinu should go out and dance and celebrate and be happy. Baruch Hashem, thank God. I am so relieved. I'm so happy. Finally, this pain will go to its end. But there is another piece of news that is part of this message that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is giving to Moshe Rabbeinu. He's telling Moshe Rabbeinu, hey, I know you care so much about them. I know their pain is your pain. But I want you to know not only they are going out, not only I'm going to take them out, I'm going to do it through a leader. I'm going to do it through someone that I will send. And guess what? I chose you to do it. Based on the story of the Gedi we mentioned at the very beginning. I am going to take you and to give you the power of leadership to lead Am Israel to two places. A, out of Egypt. B, into Matan Torah, all the way to Eretz Israel. You were chosen to be the leader. Moray v'Rabotai, at this point, it's obvious that Moshe Rabbeinu should truly say to Borei Olam, Hineni, I am ready for it. Let's do it. But surprisingly, after all of this pain, and after all this deep level of care, it's unbelievable to see what was the reaction of Moshe Rabbeinu. ועתה לך ואשלחך אל פרעה והוצא את עמי בני ישראל ממצרים. You were chosen leader. ויאמר משה רבנו replied to that breaking news. ויאמר משה אל האלוהים, מי אנוכי כי אלך אל פרעה וכי יוציא את בני ישראל ממצרים. I'm not qualified to do this. You're not what? I'm not qualified for the job. Moshe Rabbeinu said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I think it's a great news that you are going to take them out, not through me. I'm not qualified. I can't. Said HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe, and this is like a negotiation now. Vayomer ki ehyeh imach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, you might be very humble and very modest, and you believe you are not qualified. Okay. Could you ever believe that? To go to any prime minister or president of any country and say, I chose you. God speaking. God speaking. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to somebody, I chose you to be the leader. I chose you to be the president of Mexico. And I chose you to be the president of the United States. And I chose you to be God speaking. And somebody said, no, I'm not qualified. People will spend millions upon millions of dollars on campaigning for years to convince people to vote for them. Here God comes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, comes to Moshe Rabbeinu and says, you are the leader. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, I can't. Okay. Vayomer ki ehyeh imach. So don't worry. You are modest and humble. You are anav. Va'ish Moshe anav meod mikol ha'adam asher al penei ha'adam. No problem. Don't worry. It's not you. Ki ehyeh imach. I'm going to be with you. V'zeh lecha ha'ot. And I'm going to give you a proof. I'm going to give you a sign that you're going to be there. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, there is another problem. I'm going to go, imagine, okay, let's say I do take the job. So I'm going to Am Israel and tell them HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent me. אמרו לי מה שמות, they're going to ask you what's your name, what I'm going to tell them. Okay, ויאמר אלוקים אל משה, יהיה אשר אהיה, כה תאמר לבני ישראל, אהיה שלחני עליכם. ויאמר עוד אלוקים אל משה, כה תאמר אל בני ישראל, etc. שמעו לקולך. And then Moshe Rabbeinu goes back and forth, and he is negotiating with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rabotai, for not less than a week. There is a whole week of negotiation where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to convince Moshe Rabbeinu to take Am Israel out of Egypt. HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays attention to your pain. HaKadosh Baruch Hu feels your pain and cares for your pain and wants you to go out and lead them out of Egypt. And Moshe Rabbeinu refused to go. Back and forth. He's using every excuse on the book of excuses not to take the job. Until every single complaint and every single concern HaKadosh Baruch Hu satisfied Moshe Rabbeinu with. Whatever Moshe Rabbeinu raised as a concern, HaKadosh Baruch Hu replied. HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered. You have a concern, they're not going to believe you. Let me show you something that they will believe you. You don't know what to tell them my name, and I'm going to tell you what's my name. So we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, don't you worry, every concern you have, I have an answer for it. And then the conclusion was, now that I satisfied all your concern, all your issues, ve'ata lech, said HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu, are you okay? Are you happy? Did I reply? Did I satisfy your concerns? Now that you are satisfied, now go. I'm going to be with you and I'm going to tell you what to say. Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom rabotai, with the pain and the care for Am Yisrael of slavery, getting the great news, all concerns are done. There is nothing that he's worried about. Now he's convinced that he can do the job. And at that moment, Moshe Rabbeinu comes back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, vayomer bi Adonai, shelachna beyad tishlach. If the Torah wouldn't say it, it wouldn't be possible for us to even imagine that Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom kodesh kodashim could possibly say such a thing. But Moshe Rabbeinu basically said to Borei Olam, now that you convinced me that every concern I have is gone, now send somebody else. Find somebody else. I'm not going. Pele. This is not my Pele. Every single Mefaresh ala Torah for hundreds of years raising the question, Moshe Rabbeinu should be the first one to dance. You are chosen for leadership. You are chosen to take Am Yisrael out of the pain that you are crying for. You care for them so much. Go help them. I am going to be with you. Moshe Rabbeinu said, sure. Yeah, I'm very convinced. I have no more concerns. But you know what? Send somebody else. Send somebody else. The Torah says that the reaction of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was pretty interesting. Vayharaf Hashem b'Moshe, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry at Moshe Rabbeinu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was upset at Moshe Rabbeinu. And what is he telling him? Vayomer, Alo Aharon achicha halevi, yadati ki daber yadaberu. וגם הנה הוא יוצא לקראתך, ורעך ושמח בליבו. Hi, Moray Rabbotai. I wish we can leave 2% of the quality of the midot, the quality of the lessons we'll learn from Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm very angry at you. I'm very upset at you. What are you worried about? I promise you, Aharon, your brother, will see that you became the leader. He will be happy for you. He will be happy for you. Rabbotai, one quick question. When Moshe Rabbeinu had any concern, did he raise the concern? When Moshe Rabbeinu had any doubt if he should lead or not, did he raise the doubt? Did he raise the concern? Obviously. Any concern he had, he spoke to Borei Olam about. The name, the this, the that, everything. Now, this is the first time HaKadosh Baruch Hu is replying to a concern Moshe Rabbeinu did not raise. Moshe Rabbeinu never said any word about Aharon. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling him, what are you worried? Alo Aharon achicha Levi, yadati HaKadosh Baruch Hu is testifying. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Borei Olam בכבודו ובעצמו, is testifying. ורעך והנה גם הוא יוצא לקראתך ורעך ושמח בליבו. I'm telling you that Aharon, when he will see you, he will be happy for you. Not only as an outside expression, but he will be happy in his heart. I am telling you, Aaron will be happy. Moray v'Rabotai, I can make it short, but we all have to start to pay attention to this. What is Moshe Rabbeinu saying? Hachamim said from the Pasuk, we learn something very profound. Moshe Rabbeinu is in pain for Am Yisrael's slavery. Moshe Rabbeinu is suffering for the pain that Am Yisrael are going through. Granted, Moshe Rabbeinu wants more than anybody else in the world to take Am Yisrael out of the slavery, out of Egypt, and take them to Eretz Yisrael. No question about it. He will do anything to do it. He will do anything to take them out of the slavery. But Moshe Rabbeinu has a concern. Moshe Rabbeinu has a concern that he's not speaking about. Moshe Rabbeinu has a concern that he has a brother who is 3 years older than him. Moshe Rabbeinu has a concern that choosing him as a leader and allow him to lead Am Yisrael out of Egypt when he has an older brother might put his brother in pain of jealousy, might create some jealousy between him and Aaron might not be happy that Moshe Rabbeinu, the younger one, was chosen for the leadership position. And moreover, Rabbotai, and why is that a concern? Yes, let's assume Aaron will be jealous. Let's assume Aaron will carry some discomfort. Let's assume it's true. But how do you measure the pain, the potential pain of one person, Aaron? Whereas on the other side of the scale, there are millions of people suffering. And they need redemption, they need a geula, they are suffering in slavery. So your brother will be in pain, so big deal. Why was it necessary for Moshe Rabbeinu to know that Aaron will be happy so I can do the job? Moreover, Rabbotai, Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us that if you want to understand the definition of leadership, you have to understand one thing. If you believe that redemption, if you believe that leading people into greatness of life can be on the price of destroying others, if you believe that looking on the bigger picture and seeing a bright future of Am Yisrael, of anything, can be achieved by destroying others on the way, in the journey, if you can destroy someone in order to get to the bigger picture, you're making a huge mistake. No goodness, nor greatness, no redemption, no geula can ever be achieved if the price to get there is on the price of hurting and destroying someone else's feelings. Am I in pain for Am Yisrael? Most definitely. Am I suffering their pain? Most definitely. But this is what leadership is all about. There is no leadership. There is no creating a direction of Am Yisrael if the price is to destroy my brother. Moreover, Rabbotai, I don't know if I can stress it enough. We're living in a complete la-la land world today. We're seeing political campaigns, and I'm sorry to say, but I have no choice. I'm sorry to say, especially when we pay attention what's happening in Eretz Yisrael now. This is the time that Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael are going through the third election within a year. And I have to tell you, my heart is bleeding badly when I see that everything people have to say in order to fakely lead. Fakely lead. I have no idea how those people can consider themselves leaders. They are nothing. They're absolutely they have absolutely no business in leadership whatsoever, for many reasons. But if we can just start to open our eyes and pay attention to the level of poison, to the level of hatred, to the level of mahaloket, to the level of the joy of some people to see somebody else suffering, for the level of lashon hara, of destroying one another. Moray v'Rabotai, I have to tell you one of the cruelest rules in the world of the modern time is something that's called, it's a curse, something that's called free speech. Free speech is a curse. What does that mean, free speech? We have freedom to destroy people by speech. We have freedom to put down people. We have freedom to put people in lashon hara, in rechilut, in destroying their lives and their family lives, especially people that do so much for Am Yisrael, in Eretz Yisrael and the entire world. But we don't have that privilege to even begin to imagine calling those people leaders. What leaders are we talking about? This is the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of human behavior. Trying to rise up yourself through destroying others, through destroying other leaders, through destroying other parties, to destroy. I don't get involved right to left. That's not my conversation. I don't get involved in politics whatsoever. It's not my cup of tea. I think every politics is a mess, and every politics is the root of evil and corruption in the world. Every politics. Nevertheless, it's so painful to see that the conversation on the street, the conversation in the media, the conversation by those who claim to lead, Bar Minan, may Borei Olam will save us from those leaders. But it's painful to see how people are happily destroying one another, how people are putting down for the desire to lead. What are we leading? Hatred, distance, mahloket, sin'ah, kin'ah, lashon hara. This is what that's what we call leaders. Maybe it's about time for us to put the right glasses on our eyes and to look in the Torah and to realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose Moshe Rabbeinu to lead Am Yisrael. Lo kam beYisrael ke Moshe od Am Yisrael never had such a powerful leader ever. For what he was chosen, for what skill, for destroying others, for being sensitive to a goat, from being sensitive to an animal, to being sensitive for others, for human beings, to care for Am Yisrael, to care for the pain, for the possible pain of Aharon HaKohen. I'm not going to lead if I can create pain. But I have to admit, I'm weak physically. I am in a serious pain inside from watching and listening to that crazy leadership conversations. If you want to lead your life first. If you want to lead others, be a leader of your own life. If you want to lead, care and be sensitive to others' feelings, to other people's feelings, to animals' feelings. Leadership is not about these politics conversations. and press releases believing I will rise my level by destroying you. This is corruption. This is a terrible way to live. It's about time for us, Rabotai, to take the leadership into the right directions and open our eyes and learn how to care. Learn how to care about one another. Learn how to care about anything around us. And Be'ezrat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring the real Geula to Am Yisrael. Bring a real redemption to Am Yisrael when we learn from Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom what are the basic qualifications of leadership. Be'ezrat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom to all of you.